Hello everybody and welcome to my channel and welcome to talking about our June wrap up. I read more than I thought. I feel like June was a really weird reading month. I feel like I've said this a couple times. June lasted forever. June lasted forever. And I don't know if it was because one of my old medical problems kind of popped back up again. So I was struggling a little bit with that and I was dealing with making doctor's appointments. So I was just really busy in June. And then we were prepping for going on a cruise. We literally just came back yesterday. It is Saturday before posting on Sunday, so this is posting tomorrow, but I am back from that cruise and June just felt really busy, and we're halfway through July, and July I feel like is going super fast because we had that vacation. But June was just really long. It was long, but I didn't read like that much. The stuff that I read, like, it feels like it was so long ago. So I read 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 books, which is way more books than I thought I read. I don't know why I thought I read fewer. I'm trying to look through what I had. We only had one novella and one short story collection. That's kind of weird. I wasn't expecting that. But anyway, I feel like it was a decent month. Like, I'm looking, we do have 2 1-stars. We have 2 1-stars and we do have 3 DNFs. So we are going to talk about those. So not great. Like, that isn't great. We definitely had more duds this month than I feel like we've had throughout the year. That definitely did fall down. Than we've had throughout the year. So that kind of sucked, but we did read some really fun books this month. But I'm hoping July is a little more fun. I think July is going to be a little more relaxed for me. I've only read like 2 things so far, and I think it's the 11th, and both of them are horror so far, so that's kind of fun. But yeah, so we're gonna get right into talking about the books that we DNF'd first. And we have 2 from reading all of our March book box books. I cannot tell you how many takes that took to say. And we do have 1 from the Fairy Loot Purge, which I'm hoping to get started on episode 3. I think we're on now. Yeah, episode 3 very soon, but I wanted to finish doing my April book boxes first. Got a lot of stuff. It's right now we're just kind of shuffling between the Purge and book box books because soon we'll be done the Fairy Loot Purge and then we'll be moving on to Book of the Month and Allurial. Oh gosh, I gotta do Allurial. Yeah, the Purge will never go away. The Purge will never go away. It's just gonna be not our main book boxes, maybe, because some stuff is starting to stack up again. I'm starting to panic a little bit. Starting to panic a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about the DNFs. Let's talk about the DNFs. So we had 3 DNFs. We DNF'd The Last Starborn Seer, which was a book from reading all of our March books. I gotta stop saying it. It's too hard. It's too hard to say. This one I struggled with a lot just because it just didn't make a lot of sense. This one I definitely struggled with world building primarily. It just wasn't super well done, and also the main characters were highly unlikable. They were so unlikable. I think this book is going to be for very specific people. It was definitely not for me, so I think I DNF'd at like 50%. I tried really hard. I tried really hard for this one. Another one that I tried really hard for was The Sun and the Star Maker, which I believe was also from March book box books. I hate having to say it that slow. This is more of a whimsical story. I actually can see a lot of people liking this one. Again, hated the main character. There's nothing that will make me DNF something faster than me despising a primary character, especially the character that you are from the perspective of. So I could not stand her. I did not want to read from her anymore. I tried multiple times to go back to the story, and I so did not like her that I could not continue. I also just didn't love the story after a certain point. So like, I actually loved the opening of this. I thought this was very fun. And then we got to the castle and I no longer enjoyed the story anymore. So I did end up DNFing this one. Again, pretty far into that one as well. Also, I'm not giving a lot of backstory about what these are because I get really sad about DNF. So we then had The Darkening, which was our DNF from Fairy Loot Purge. Obviously, we had way more DNFs from the Fairy Loot Purge, but I only talk about books that I DNF'd after 50 pages, just because I feel like I don't have a lot to say about books that I DNF'd before 50 pages unless they're like obviously really bad. But this one I DNF'd like 60% into. We read so much of this book, but I found myself not caring, so I did DNF this one. Those were the DNFs from this month, so we're moving on to our 1-star books, and like I said, there are unfortunately 2. I think I originally gave one 1.5, but it is a 1. It's a 1. It's a 1. First up, and honestly, these 1-stars, they're 1-stars for different reasons, but I dislike both of them almost equally. But we're gonna talk about It Ends With Us first. This was a members only vlog. I did a migraine vlog for members only, so if you're interested, this is a Scholomance level reading vlog if you want to go check out more about this book. But this is my first and probably one of 2 Colleen Hoover books I will ever read. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested, but I definitely, when the hype was like huge with this book, I bought this book. I did buy it secondhand. I try to buy a lot of like older books secondhand. This one, bought it secondhand. I bought Verity as well, and I do still have an interest in Verity. I know, I do still have an interest in Verity. I do think it's like the only Colleen Hoover book that I could actually be interested in or actually potentially like. So I do plan to read Verity. It probably will also be for members just because I don't love Colleen Hoover as a person based on some stuff that I've read about her. So I just don't feel like making a video about her, to be honest. Probably will end up being just like a random members vlog thrown into something. But read this, it is a 1 star. So many problems. This is such a problematic book, but this is following our main character. Is it Lily? This is one of the first books that I read in June. This is following Lily, our main character, who ends up in a whirlwind romance with this man called Ryle. And we are going in between her current day dating Ryle and then the past and talking about this past relationship with this boy. And the whole point of this book is it is a story about abuse and coming to terms with that abuse, and not all people are who they seem that they are, and not all abuse looks the same. And I do appreciate some of those. I think I originally gave it like a 1.5 to a 2 because I appreciated there was a nuanced conversation about that, and that how abusive people are not always abusive. They can look very nice and they can act nice 90% of the time, but that other 10% of the time they are an incredibly scary person. So I did appreciate that conversation because I don't think we see that a ton in Hollywood or in books. It's like very black and white. I feel like this did a really good job of that and nothing else. I do feel like it very much romanticized the situation that was going on, so I really didn't like that, and I think the ending was an atrocity to humanity based on what happened in that ending. Hated it. I do talk about my feelings about that more in that vlog, but yeah, really had many problems with this. So this is a 1 star. My next 1 star, and also an author that is officially going on the do not buy list, and that is Kelly Armstrong's The Gravewood. I have tried multiple Kelly Armstrong books, and I think arguably this is the worst one that I've tried. It's the only one I finished. I did force myself to finish this because I knew that if I DNF'd, I knew that if this got a bad rating or a DNF, that this author would officially be over with. I cannot buy them ever again. This is joining the likes of Stephen Graham Jones and Kaylin Barron. That is a sad list. This is a sad list to be on. And so I just don't ever want to add authors to it. So I forced myself to finish this book, and it was a 1 star. It's a 1 star. I did not like anything about this book. I think it is very goofy. It's like a Twilight spoof. But not fun. It very much reminds me how I felt about, oh no, what was that book? We got another book that was like literally a ripoff of Twilight. Very much had similar vibes to that, which I'm really sad about because I think the background of this book is actually really good. So this is following our main character who is living in this is basically an apocalypse, I would say. I would consider this an apocalypse type situation. End of the world kind of stuff where vampires and humans are kind of at odds. They're at war and they are living in a town that is cut off from everything else. She is living with hearing aid, and so she needs batteries to keep it running. But obviously, because this is an apocalypse type situation, end of the world, there are no batteries. So she ends up making a deal with one of the vampire leader guys. Every time I try to film, there's a plane. And he brings her batteries in exchange for her giving him her blood. And it creates a bond and a relationship. I just feel like this is very insta-love. I feel like the most interesting part of this book is the setup of the book. But even that wasn't explained super well. So I don't think the setting was done very well. I don't think the writing of the characters was very well done. I think the romance was incredibly painful. I do think the series is also heading in a polyamory direction, and I kind of talk about it in the vlog because this also was reading all of my March book box books, but I would be very upset for my polyamory community, people who want more polyamory books, if this did not end up polyamory, because I do feel like there was a lot of flirtatiousness going on between all 3 characters. It would feel a little bit weird for her to choose just one based on kind of that situation that was going on in this book. It would feel a little performative if this did not turn into polyamory, and that's just kind of my opinion on it. Polyamory is definitely not for me in stories. However, I don't have a problem with other people enjoying it, so I kind of do hope this ends up polyamory for my polyamory buddies. But for me, it is a 1-star. Okay, I'm looking at her list now. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as I thought. It's not as bad as I thought. But next we do have Her Hidden Fire. This is a solid 3-star. There's just nothing that interesting about this book. Also, if you see me weaving back and forth, I have a little bit of, we were just on a cruise ship, just got off yesterday, like I said. I'm having a little bit of, I don't remember what it's called. It's like got a name when your brain kind of like freaks out a little bit after being on moving surfaces. So the cruise ship really didn't move around a lot, but every time I close my eyes, I start going like this a little bit. So if I start doing this, that's why I'm doing it. Normally it wears off in a day or two. It happens anytime I go to the beach and I stand on like a moving pier, it happens. So something in my brain does not like that movement. It doesn't make me sick or anything. It's just a little bit of movement. So if you see me doing that, that's what's happening. Anyway, like I was saying, this is just a very generic story. This is probably one of the more generic fantasy stories that I've read in a while that I did not give up on. I could have taken this, I could have left this. Like, it just really just exists. I really just didn't want to DNF this one because the video was already going so poorly. And I just wanted to finish this. I really like the cover, so if I could get a 3-star, it means I can keep the cover. I do have the second book as an ARC or an e-ARC right now, so I do plan to read that and see if I enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, probably will end up getting rid of this, but I would be very sad about it because this is a beautiful cover. And this one was also one that I read for March reading on my BookBox books. I think I messed up. I think some of these are from February. Now that I think about it, I think this one and Gravewood are definitely March. Oh, now I'm getting confused. Now I'm getting confused. I'll put down below, like anytime I say BookBox books, just look below. I'll correct if I got any of these wrong because I don't think all of these, there's no way all of these were March because we have Weaving Shaw coming up as well. Yeah, there's no way. In Aicha, these are not all March. I think Son of the Star Maker and the other one potentially were February books. I'll correct it down below. I don't remember what everything was. Everything is starting to mesh together because I released February and March videos pretty close to each other. Anyway, Her Hidden Fire. So this is following our main character who, I like the magic system, I will say that. This is following our main character who is part of the servants for this wealthy family. And this book is definitely hierarchy. This is all about the hierarchy. So there are a bunch of wealthy families and they are wealthy based on their heads of household having like specific powers because you have to channel powers to be able to run the land, I guess. That part wasn't super explained. But anyway, she is part of the servants of this household and she is best friends with the boy who is about to be tested to see if he has power. If he does not have power, his family is going to be stripped because that would be 2 generations in a row that is missing this power and they will lose like their important seat in the government in this hierarchy. So she ends up having power, her hidden fire. Hidden, it's hidden. So she ends up having power and she is able to like channel it through him. And so everyone thinks that he has a power. She's able to show a little bit of her power. So they are both sent to this academy to learn about these powers. There's like different levels of power and who is doing what. So it's kind of that dynamic. It's a lot about the politics of this world. There is a hidden type of thing that is going on. You learn it very early on, but I don't want to say it is because it was quite shocking. It is also a type of magic that is in another book I really liked, but it was a big surprise in that book, so I can't talk about that book either, which makes me really sad that I can't talk about it. But anyway, I like the magic system. I think it's good. I think this is a very morally gray book. I enjoy that. I do think you will be sorely disappointed if you go into this thinking this is heavy dragons, because that was talked about and there is even a dragon on the sprayed edges. There's it's an important scene, but there are not that many dragons in this as of yet. I do think book 2 is going to have way more to do with the dragons, but this was very dragon light. It was setting up stuff for the second book. But so I would call this more of like an academy getting to know your power type of story instead of a dragon story. But I enjoy this for what it was. If you're interested in it, pick it up. If you hadn't heard anything about it, I wouldn't bother with it. It's kind of one of those books. A solid 3-star. I also read Exit Strategy this month. This was part of the members video. It's fine. I'm starting to lose a little bit of interest going through the Murderbot series. I am, but I'm gonna continue. I want to read all of them, or at least up into the current, and kind of see how I feel about them. But they are definitely starting to get repetitive. I can't tell you like too much what happened in this one because it is like a direct continuation in the series, but it is following Murderbot and his antics throughout the ship. This is also a solid 3-star. I'm trying to think. I actually think I enjoyed Her Hidden Fire more than Exit Strategy, so switch those. Switch those two. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Really, again, can't say too much about it. So I'm hoping the Apple series is able to make it continue to be interesting as it goes on. I'm curious if they're going to combine novellas. So far, they haven't yet. Next up, I also read The Divorce by Freida McFadden. As you guys know, I pretty much read all of Freida McFadden books. I have a really fun time with them. This one, unfortunately, did not have as much fun with this one. This one was only a 3-star, which I feel like is the lowest I've given her in a couple of books, because I've definitely given her some very low ratings. However, lately I've been really enjoying her books. This one not so much. I ended up reading this one with my mom. She ended up really enjoying this one. This one just felt kind of like a train wreck. This one felt a little uncomfy to read, to be honest. This one is following our main character who ends up getting surprise divorced. I feel like that's the best way to describe that. But she ends up getting kicked out by her husband, and she decides to fight for her marriage, and it's just very uncomfortable. Like, her husband has started a relationship with somebody else, and she is trying to dig into this woman's background. And obviously with Freida McFadden books, there's always crazy surprises around every single corner. So this one I was cringing. I was cringing a little bit. I was just like, it was one of those books that's like, oh gosh, don't do the thing. Don't, please stop doing the thing. Stop what you are doing, please. So that's kind of where I was with this book. Everybody is terrible in this book. I did like the ending. I actually really enjoyed the twist ending. That was wild. Especially the last chapter. Like, the last chapter, I was like, yes, I very much love that. Very much like that. This one was very hit or miss as I was reading it, so that's why I ended up with a 3, but it was still fun. It's a Freida, it's fun. They're absurd. I will be still reading more of her books. This is where we start getting murky with the ratings. That is one thing about this month. Like, I was looking through my list of books, and I feel like I read a lot, but nothing was super memorable. Like, I enjoyed a lot of what I read, but nothing was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't stop thinking about this plot line. Like, this was crazy. So everything from this point on until like favorites, gonna kind of be all on the same playing field. So starting with this one, going up to probably the next 4. This one and the next 4 after this are pretty much even. So everything's about between a 3.7 and a 4-star. So I might honestly just give everything a blanket 4-star that we talk about from now on. Anyway, We Who Will Die, we ended up reading this for our book club pick. If you want more of my reaction while reading this and you want spoilers, definitely go check out the book club reaction. But this was a surprise. I was a little bit worried, especially after hating all of the Illyriel picks. Kind of was expecting to hate this one as well, but I actually really enjoyed this one. I do think a lot more could have been explained. I do wish that this had felt more Roman inspired. Like, this feels more Roman inspired than the entire book. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like it definitely leaned very heavily on the gladiator aspect of things to make it feel Roman inspired, but I wanted to really feel it. I wanted to feel more like Fallen City. Very bored by the premise of the book, but the setting was immaculate. And that's what this was missing. This was missing a really interesting, good setting. And I think if that was in there, I would have loved this book like even more. But I did actually very much enjoy this. I had issues with the romance. Are we surprised at this point? I'm so picky about my romances. I struggled with it. I also don't like this cover anymore. I originally really enjoyed this cover, but having read the book now, I actually don't think this cover fits the vibe at all. Like, this feels like a little silly, and the vibe of the book is very serious. We're following our main character who ends up getting roped into the schemes of pretty much everybody else in this book. So she is a reluctant main character, which I really like. I love a reluctant main character, but she is blackmailed pretty much into joining this incredibly serious, very deadly competition that she is not prepared for whatsoever. And it ends up putting her in the path of potential romances and deadly games and trials and making new friends and coming to terms with all of the grief that she's been dealing with for the past couple of years. So I thought it was much deeper than I was expecting. My favorite part of this book is the relationship between her and someone who has passed away. I thought it was very poignant. I thought it was very emotional. It was just really good. Like, it was very good writing. The romance. The romance I was not the biggest fan of. I do think it's something that I could enjoy maybe later in later books. I did not love the setup of the romance in this. There were moments that I was like, oh, kind of like that. But overall, I did not feel much for the romance, but I ended up really liking the other characters. I liked our main character. I liked all the characters as like individuals, but not in like pairings, if that makes sense. So I am really, really excited to read the second book. I'm really sad that there's not a single edition of this book that I like. Like, I do not like any editions. I don't like this edition. I don't like the normal edition. I don't like Fairy Leads edition. I don't like any editions of this book that I've seen, which is very, very sad. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might, maybe I'll give, if Alluriel decides to do the sequel to this, maybe I'll give it a shot and order it and see what it's like. But I don't know, because I do like the spine. I do think the spine is very fitting for what this book is. I just really don't like the cover anymore. But anyway, it's like a 3.75 about. Don't mind rounding it up to a 4. But yeah, enjoyed this, was surprised. Next up, we had Weaving Shaw. Yeah, this one was a weird one. This one was a weird one. I loved the romance in this. I feel like we're totally backwards here. We're totally backwards. I thought the plot was very weak. I do think this is a romance and vibe heavy book. I think the actual plot is the weak point of this book, which is where I struggled with this book. It's like, I can't have both. It's like, I can't have both things. I can't have both the romance and the plot. We Who Will Die, loved the plot, thought the plot was very interesting, didn't love the romance. I didn't dislike it, didn't love the romance. This one, plot was so weak, transparent, did not love the plot, loved the romance. The romance was so good. I talked about it, but it's like, do you know that scene in Pride and Prejudice 2005? I've seen Pride and Prejudice 2005. Shocking amount. Just a disturbing amount I've seen that movie. And the best scene, everybody agrees this is the best scene. It's when he's helping Elizabeth into the carriage and they touch hands, and then when she gets in the carriage, he like flexes his hand. That's this romance. That's this romance. That's what that vibe is. It's so good. It's so there's so much tension, there's so much yearning and pining and stuff. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Now the plot. The plot. In my head, I'm like, what was the plot? And I feel like I was asking that while I was reading the book. I feel like I was very confused. But I was following our main character, and it does have a Victorian vibe to it, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like that. The setting was very confused. I was very confused about what vibe the setting was trying to go for, but I think it's supposed to feel like Victorian England-ish. Our main character ends up getting involved in a deal with this kind of notorious person, and she ends up having to be like his scribe for the job that he does, and it's making like deals or granting wishes or whatever it's called. It's been a while again since I read this one, but and like I said, the plot is very wishy-washy, so I definitely am struggling a little bit remembering the plot in this one, like exactly. But she ends up working for him, and it's very grueling. It's a very difficult task for her. But at the same time, she is trying to figure out this mystery for him. And the mystery definitely takes like a backseat to everything that's happening. And I feel like that was the problem, is it has a very interesting setup, and then it kind of just doesn't do anything with it. And then the ending of the book is also really weird. Like, the ending took such a left turn. It was so strange how the ending went. But I definitely think this is one that I'm going to try and reread to see if I missed some things, because I found myself rereading chapters. Like, I would go back and be like, did I miss something in this chapter? Like, I am so confused what's happening. Like, because they would just throw in different perspectives. Like, there was like a council of people who were doing stuff in the background. They would just throw that chapter in. Like, I feel like one of the chapters was like 30 pages, and it just started, and I was like, who are these people? And the whole time I was reading the chapter, I was like, who are they? What are they talking about? What the hell are they referencing? I read that chapter like 7 times, and that's not an over-exaggeration. I have text messages with one of my friends talking about that chapter because she was also reading the book, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm so confused what's happening. So when she got to that point, she was also like, what is happening? I'm like, exactly. I don't understand what's happening. So this one also is a 3.75 because there were just a lot of moments that I got completely lost in this book. And I do just think that comes down to plotting a little bit better. Like, I feel like if this book was plotted a little bit better and kind of led you through some of the story a little bit better, it would have been fine. I just think this jumps too much all over the place, and it just didn't have a purpose. I think that's what this book was missing. This had no purpose, and I felt that while I was reading that. So I will definitely be continuing this because I enjoyed the vibes and the romance enough to continue, but I'm very suspicious about where the series is going, especially because I did not like the ending. We are moving into 4-star territory, and that is Aisha. This was such a surprise. This was the surprise of the video that this was in. This has such low ratings among people. People just really didn't like this book, and I do think somewhat I understand that. So this is following our main character who is living in an occupied, did they say it was actually Morocco? I always get that confused. I do believe it's just supposed to be Morocco, but it is occupied by the Portuguese. It says the Portuguese flag has been planted across Morocco. So we are following a bunch of people who are natives of Morocco, and they are trying to fight against the Portuguese colonization of them. It is a tough read. Like, it's warfare, it is bloody, it is disgusting, and it's gruesome, and it's depressing. Like, this book is very sad. This is not, it's a hopeful book in the end. That's the point of this, is that overcoming these difficulties is nigh impossible sometimes, and yet there is still hope that comes out of these terrible situations. And I loved that. I loved that about this book. I loved our main character and her resilience and her need to help her people and get out of these terrible situations even when it seems impossible. And I just really liked her. I'm glad that this book is named after her, because that's really all you need once you read this book. Like, this makes sense that it is just named Aisha. Like, this is perfection. I do see why people rated it low, because I don't think this is a book necessarily meant for a BookBox book, just because of content in it. I do think a lot of people get BookBox books not for more serious books. So for me, I do think this is a fantastic book. I think it's very important for a lot of people to read, but I don't know if you can force people to read something this dark and depressing, because it is. It made me sad. I was sad for days after reading this book. It left an impression with me, but I was sad. Like, this book is very sad. So I do think this is one that people should choose to pick up, and they should pick it up if they are able to get through some of the darker themes of this book. But I really enjoyed this. If you are interested, I 100% would say pick this up. Just check some trigger warnings for how bloody it is. It's very gruesome, but I think this had a great message. I really like our main character. I had a great time with it, even though it did make me very sad. Next is the short story collection. So one of my favorite authors is Gwendolyn Kiss. I gotta check how to say her last name. I cannot remember how to say her last name, but it is The Haunted Houses She Calls Her Own. This is my first book by her that I have not rated 5 stars. I read Reluctant Immortals, which made me sob my eyes out. Loved it, 5 star. And then The Haunting of Velwood was also a 5 star. Now, this is a short story collection. It is almost impossible for me to give a 5 star to a short story collection. It just doesn't happen. But this was close. 4 star for a short story collection is fantastic. I should have made a list of all these things, like exactly what I thought about every short story, but overall it's just a really good collection of female rage stories, and that's kind of like what most of her books are, at least that I've read so far, is it's overcoming difficulties as a woman and what women have to experience and go through and how unfair life is and how they have to fight for everything that they have. And a lot of these stories were following that same motif, and I just really appreciated it. I really liked, I would say 80% of the stories I loved. I would say 2 of the stories I did not get. I was a little confused when I read them, and I did not get the purpose of them, and that kind of happens in every short story collection, especially if they're a little bit more abstract. And I do feel like there was 2 that I kind of was just like, yeah, I didn't get anything out of that one. But overall, it was really, really good. It was fantastic. So I would highly recommend this collection of short stories. Next, we have one that was almost a 5 star. This was so close to a 5 star, but it is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. This is in the Fairy Loot Purge. Oh man, this was so close to a 5 star. I think this one just ended very anticlimactically for me. I loved the vibe of this. I loved everything about this. except for the ending. And the ending wasn't even bad. It was just, meh. Here's the ending. So that's a little bit sad, but this is following our main character who lives on this very remote, very quaint island where everybody knows each other. And there was a massive tragedy that happened many years ago. And it happened to her friend group. So it was her and 3 of her friends. She was dating one of them, and then her best friend was in the group. And then also another boy who was best friends with her boyfriend was in the group. So it was the core 4. That just makes me think of Scream. Core 4 in this. And unfortunately, one of them did end up passing away, and the town was completely convinced that our main character's boyfriend was the one who killed her, and so he ended up leaving the island. It's been years since anyone saw him, but he ends up coming back because his mom died and the mom wanted to be buried on the island. He ended up coming back to the island, and it pretty much raises everything back up, and the mystery comes back to light, and there's a lot more complicated things going on in the background on this island than our main character realized. So good. The romance on this is fantastic. It's really, really good. I normally don't like second chance romances, but I think it was done really, really well. The Pining was really good. This is taking place in multiple perspectives, but also it's taking place in the current day and the past, and it was done very well. Again, the ending was very anticlimactic, how it ends up finishing. I do like the twist. I almost would have liked this better if it wasn't magical. This is like very magical realism-esque. Like there's like a touch of magic, but it's not over the top. And I kind of just wish there was either more magic or none. I think this almost would have worked better just as like a mystery with barely any magic involved, especially what the twist was. Like I liked the twist and I also didn't like the twist at the same time. Like it felt a little bit like a cop-out, but I kind of liked it at the same time. That's why I'm struggling a little bit with this one and why it only gets a 4-star and not a 5. But wish the ending was a little bit better, but overall, love the vibes, love the characters. Thought this was a really, really good follow-up to me reading The Unmaking of June Farrow from the same author. This is definitely the winner from the Fairy Loot Purge, and I am still working on that little sequels video thing. I'm reading the sequel to this, and I am reading, it's not the sequel to this, but I'm reading A Sea of Unspoken Things for members. It's just taking me a little bit longer than I thought it would. But anyway, this Vicious Grace, I ended up really liking this as a 4-star. Again, almost a 5-star, but the ending felt very rushed. I feel like for a book that was very unique, very interesting, really loved the plot buildup, loved the romance. This one was a really good one for plot and romance was really, really good. I do think the romance rushed a little bit too quickly because the whole point of this book is you have our main character who is this like chosen one, again, on this kind of isolated island, but it's like a series of islands in this world, and they are all under threat of this plague. And it's not a plague, but this like infiltration of these bug-like things that appear every so often. And there is one person that is chosen by the gods to be the defender of that specific island. So like every island has one. But she's not doing a great job. So she is killing her husbands. And she needs them because she has to channel magic through them. Basically like they hold the magic, but she channels it to make it super, super, super powerful. But she's too powerful and too strong, and she ends up killing people. And it's not a surprise, but she's killed 3 already. Killing 1 is like not great, but it's like, oh, she's just really, really powerful. She's killed 3. It's not going well. So there's a lot of political upheaval going on, and people are deciding if she actually can do this job. So she ends up hiring a bodyguard, and the idea is that it's a you can't touch her or you'll end up dying. She's basically a walking power vacuum, so it will kill you if you touch her. So I do think the romance moved a little bit too quickly in this one just because they were able to touch very early on, and I did not like that. I would have loved for that to have been dragged out way longer, but otherwise it was a really, really fun story. Very good. I really liked all of our characters. Very found family feeling in this book, which is one of my favorite tropes. I love found family. I'm definitely excited to read the second one, although I haven't seen the best things about it, but I am excited to try it. Okay, we are moving on to our favorite books of the month. This one is not a 5-star. Not a 5-star, but it was close. This is a 4.5. It is The Mistake. I read this. This was the first book that I read this month. I was like, how long ago did I read this one? This is Logan and Grace's story, which is funny because so this is The Deal. This is the same series as The Deal. I love these covers. I did watch Off Campus, the series, and he's like my least favorite character in the TV series, and I didn't love him in the first book either, but I really liked him in this story. I thought this was actually really, really good. I liked their romance. I thought him having to chase after her the whole book was very fun. This one's very close to even me liking it more than the first book. That's how much I liked this one, but still 4.5. There are still a couple things I didn't love about this. And again, it is still definitely a product of its time for some of the things that happen in this book and the way people talk. I still really enjoyed this and I'm really excited to get to the next one. And we are down to our 2 5 stars of June. I'm very excited we had 2 5 stars. And the first one is Hollowpox. I would say these are about equal. I would say these books are about equal. So we do have Hollowpox, which is the 3rd book in the Morgan Crow series. It's so good. It's so good. If you have not read the Nevermore series, please read them. I am now reading Silverborn right now, and it's just as good as the first 3. I am so sad that those are the only 4 that are out currently. She takes forever to write these books, which that's probably why they're so good, is she just takes as much time as she wants to write these. And honestly, I'm kind of like, I'm sad about it because I want a giant series, because I think she has planned like tons of books. Like, she's not just gonna stop writing these, but I do wish there was another one coming out, or at least we had a date of the next one coming out. But yeah, I'm currently on Silverborn. Love this. This is the 3rd book in the series. I do think Hollowpox is the best of the series so far. And then we have our favorite book of the month, and that is A Stage Set for Villains. This was a crazy reading experience because I almost DNF'd this, was thinking about giving it a 2 star, and then it hit a point where everything made sense in the book, and it was like an experience. It was an experience. I ended up loving this book. This cover is perfect for this book. This is the Alcrate edition, so it is reversed from this, which I also think is actually a really good cover for this book, but this is perfect. This is also an example of a plot and romance that I like. You gotta have both for me. It can't just be one. It's gotta be both. If it's gonna be a 5 star. I can give, if the romance is immaculate and the plot is weak, I'll give it a 4 star like Weaving Shaw. If the plot is good and the romance is weak, I'll give it a 4 star like We Who Will Die, but they're not going to get 5 stars. You have to have both, and this definitely has both. This is following your main character who is living in this world that is divided. So there are people who are obsessed with this playhouse. They're obsessed with these players, basically mind controlled into being obsessed with these people, into the point of like forgetting to take care of themselves. And then you have the people who are marked, who are immune to the charms of these players, but that doesn't mean that bad things can't happen to them if the players get a hold of them. So the point is that there has been a deal for many, many years. The players have been missing, but that deal is up and the players arrive, and our main character gets involved with these people, and it's so good. It's so good. There's hints to everything that is happening throughout the book. I think the romance is fantastic. There's like about 50 pages in this book that I think could have been cut out, and that almost knocked it down to a 4.5. But everything else about this book, the ending killed me. The ending was everything. And this is found family to the extreme. The family aspect of this, oh my God. It's not even just the romance, it's the relationship between other people in this one. I loved this. I love this. I love this. I love this. This was so funny though, because it was almost a 1 star. It really was that turn. That turn really made the difference for me. Yeah, I love this book. I get why people didn't though. This is one of those books that's a 5 star that I'm like, I get if people hate this. I really, really do. But for me, this ended up working in the end. And I'm probably gonna get myself an original edition because I really, really like the original cover. I think it's a gorgeous cover and it really fits the idea of the book. But right now I'm very happy with this one. So yeah, I love this book. I'm very excited. I gave it a 5 star. I love finding 5 stars from book boxes. Like, that's the whole point, is finding 5 stars that I maybe potentially wouldn't have picked up, because I don't know if I would have thought about picking this one up. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my wrap up for June. I feel like it was a decent reading month. A lot of stuff that was just like, yeah, it was good. Probably not a lot of stuff I'm gonna remember super, super long term, which is sad. No, I read a lot for the enjoyment of the moment, to immerse myself in something. As long as I have a good time while I'm reading it, that's kind of all I care about. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to miss future content. If you're interested, I do have a membership if you want to check that out. There's a bunch of extra content over there for you guys. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Ooh, if you have made it this far into the video, leave a mask emoji. If there's no mask emoji, just leave anything that is at least close to something relating to plays or Broadway or something. Yeah, leave that mask emoji if you can find it, if you made it this far into the video. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.